T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
1, 2, Westport!
Welcome back, everybody, to the Best Grow Show. And I'm not just making this stuff up. I actually go out and quiz people. 9 out of 10 painters said that this was the Best Grow Show. What's up, Ty Sticks? He says hello to us and everyone except the painter who did not like the show. Well, little secret, that 1 out of 10, he's on the show today. We got Artman in the house, and we're here to change his mind. So maybe I can help.
Oh, you targeted me right off the bat. Oh, man.
Right off the bat. How you doing today, Artman?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, Chad.
Dude, it's absolutely my pleasure. I'm stoked. We kind of talked in the background a little bit. I'm a huge fan of the work that you do with water. Oh my God, so amazing. I'm going to show some of this stuff. I know this is a show about cannabis, and we are definitely going to get into that. Multi-talented man. So I do want to show some of that. But I totally forgot where I was going to go because you freaking blow my mind all the time with that one. Oh, yeah, I just remembered. Dude, you're also a huge supporter in the community, and I see freaking 80 people already with us at the start of the show. David,
is that right?
Farm Slave,
80, huh?
Crod, Shadow Mick, 38 Special, Me Chamber, John. Yeah, so many awesome freaking names. Like I'm just like overwhelmed at trying to name them here. So thank you everybody for hanging out and coming here to support Artman, because Artman, you are a rad supporter, dude. Not of stuff of all the stuff that I do, but also a lot of other channels, man. So tell us, how did you kind of come to find some of these, this cannabis content, or what drew you to it?
Well, I kind of wandered around the net for a while and ended up over at Percy's Grow Room. And I still have a lot of friends over there. Yeah, Mackie, he's a good guy.
He's in here right now.
Oh, is he? Cool. Hi, Mackie. Anyway, I was there for a while, got a lot of good friends, stuck some grow diaries, learned a bit there. And then when they had the Last Prisoner project, and I met Smot and Crispy, and went over to Coco for Cannabis and his show and talked to them and meet a lot of good people there. And it was great. And then I went on to Caribou Heart, and, now I'm here. So.
Heck yeah, dude. That is a rad circle to be in. I know all of those people, and I enjoy hanging out with all of them. So good circle. Good circle. And yeah, I see Crispy, I see Spot Poker, everybody's in chat. Caribou, where you at, bro? Where you at? Calling you out, Caribou. I don't see you in my chat. No. Love you. You did mention though, Caribou Heart and Let's Be Buds, Uncle Rick. I just want to mention too that Uncle Rick, the Let's Be Buds, the Last Prisoner Project, you had mentioned that too, is doing the annual telethon September 16th. So that's in 2 weeks. It's going to be, I believe it's going to be on the Let's Be Bud channel. I'm involved. I think Crispy, I think Smart Poker is going to be, so many people are going to be involved. Like last year, it's a day-long chatathon, basically, where a lot of different people from the community, a lot of people that have, different shows, we're all going over to one channel. We do it there for the day, and we're trying to raise funds for the Last Prisoner Project. And, Uncle Rick, Anything Grows, she has worked very hard on sponsors and getting matches too. So there's one company that everything that we all donate, they're going to match. And then, of course, we got some bean giveaways and fun stuff going on all day. So just mark the calendar, September 16th, Last Prisoner Project. I believe that's going to be on the Let's Be Bud channel. So, yeah, good cause. But I'm glad you mentioned that there.
Oh, that's a great cause. Absolutely. And then I'm also going to be on Let's Be Buds the 20th of September. So a few days later, I'll be on their show.
Heck out of here. That's
I
awesome.
am.
That'll be fun.
I talked to Rick just this week. Yeah, cool.
Nice. And here's Mackie's Legends. Right, or no? Yes. Great cause, though. It is a great cause. Dr. Leby, he says, did I hear beans giveaways? And to the 94 people that are watching, we love to give away beans. Oh, 90 watching now. So you guys' chances just improved on this one. We love to give beans away because we want growers growing some dank. And I always do one for the early birds before we jump into the guests. So the early bird for today, as it usually is, will be something from me. We're going to do the Westport's grape juice times the Afghani #1. And if you want to see some photos of that, just hit my Instagram up. I've got some awesome pictures from a few different growers. But I need to open the StreamYard giveaway tool to give away this first set of beans. And I am so happy to announce, because we've had issues with international winners trying to get mailing done. But we are abandoning the Mr. Magpie rule. The Mr. Magpie rule is out the window. We now have this new thing called the Chilbert rule. And Chilbert hit me up and figured out the solution for us. So Big Blazer 80 and Chilbert, they are able to ship worldwide. So that means Canadians can play, Australians can play, anybody in the EU or the UK, you can play. And what we're going to do is, going forward, everybody can enter every bean giveaway that we do. And if you win and you happen to be in one of those outside areas, well, cool. Then you're going to get what they have selected and are going to send to people. But if you happen to be in the States, which usually we just have, the US only, then if you are in the US, you'll get the one that I'm holding up. So yeah, we're able to do this worldwide now. Every drawing worldwide, everybody gets a chance. But I want to type in last winner project for our keywords. So everybody who wants to play worldwide, you can do so. In the US, you're getting the pack of Westport grape juice times Afghani #1. And if you are worldwide, you're going to get, I'll have to go to my Instagram, but it was pretty freaking dope. I said it last episode. So if you want to play today, Last Prisoner Project, just type that into chat. And in just a couple of minutes, I will get that going. Captain Blackheart says, lacquer. That is awesome, bro. I love that. So yeah, go ahead and get that in. Last Prisoner Project. Do you want to kind of tell us a little bit, Artman, about how you found out about that and what it means to you, and maybe why you think raising funds would be a good thing to do?
Well, I was over at Percy's when they invited us in there, and I went over and joined everybody. It was a great day, too. It was fantastic. I mean, there's so many good gromies there working for the good cause. And, of course, I've known people in the past who've been arrested and spent time. And so, of course, it's a great project. It's a great cause. I mean, nobody should go to jail for this medicine, period.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are, there's a lot of nonviolent offenders in there. There's people who, may have a little offense and they only have to do, 30, 60 days, something like that. You do 10 days with, good behavior. But the fact remains, you have this on your record. And now sometimes when you apply for a job or you go to apply for an apartment or a loan, this bullshit like drags you down. Like it's freaking ridiculous. So yeah, Last Prisoner Project, they do a lot of legal work for convicted people. They also help people stay out of prison, but really the goal is to get every cannabis prisoner out from behind bars. And yeah, man, for some people that should be there, man. Jails aren't a bad thing, but there's a lot of people who shouldn't be in there just because they're trying to do a good thing or a right thing for somebody else. And cannabis usually falls under those pretenses. So, yeah, I'm happy to do that. And again, that's the 16th, 2 weeks from now, over on, I believe it's going to be the Let's Be Buds channel. But let me check in. How many people we got for the giveaway? Oh, we got 67 in there already. Oh my gosh. Once we get to 70, I'm just going to spin this because I'm getting eager to talk some cannabis and talk some grow with Artman. So if we get 3 more people in here, or another 20 seconds, because I have this impatience thing.
Hey man, I just wanted to say, Illinois has their own version of the Last Prisoner Project. It's called New Leaf, as in turning over a new leaf, and it helps expunge records of those who. Yeah, it's a wonderful program. So that's something to keep in mind too if you have a record in Illinois.
Dude, that is awesome information. Thank you for. We're not even 12 minutes in this show, and I'm already learning something from the guest. Yes.
Excellent.
I love how that happens. All right, we're at 68. I know I said 70, and the immature person wants to do one more, but 68 it will be. We'll go ahead and hit the draw. Good luck, everybody. And again, oh, yes, 69. Good luck, everybody. And again, this is worldwide. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? And you can hit me up on Instagram. Jay Patrick, right on, buddy.
All right, Jay. Good deal.
Yeah, that's another person I see in chat a lot. So I am always stoked when those names pop up because I see you here, I see you there, I see you everywhere. So let's get you some good genetics, brother. Westport grape juice times Afghani number 1. I write that down. Okay. Jay Patrick, we got you covered. So hit me up on Instagram. My Instagram is in the show notes. You can also find the Instagram of our guest in the show notes. And let's stop neglecting our guest. Artman, tell me a story.
Tell you a story.
Tell me a story.
Okay.
How did you get into cannabis? Was this something maybe earlier in life? Was it something later in life?
Oh yeah, much earlier. I'm a little bit older than you, I think. I'm in my early 60s. I started smoking at about 75, probably.
Okay.
Thanks to my sister. Yeah, she handed my brother some hash and said, "Get him high." So anyway,
it was hash. Hash was the introduction.
Yep, okay. And not too many people do that either. I've not known too many people. Usually it's a joint or something like that. So. And then, I just carried on from there. I never really liked drinking all that much, so I was more attracted to weed because it calms you down. It's a nice mellow buzz. The opposite. So
I agree with that one. I'm a non-drinker myself, and I love cannabis. I definitely gave drinking a try, but not for me. So I enjoy my smoke too. Now, curious because I didn't see hash for years after I started smoking. I started in my teens, but it took a long time for hash to come around. For you, hash was your introduction. So did you kind of continue with hash, or did flower get introduced at that point to you?
Well, the thing was, because of the world situation, I think Russia invaded Afghanistan. Our hash supply just cut off. It was done. Yeah. We didn't see hash for. I haven't seen hash. No, I haven't been on the street to buy anything for years and years and years. I don't even mess with that shit anymore. I have no idea if it's even around. But back then, you got the blonde Lebanese, you had the black tar, you had some really good international hash, foreign. But now I make my own. So, and
Nice.
we all do. I mean, how many of us do?
Well,
French,
yeah, some people call us resin farmers.
there you go, Frenchy cannoli. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, and Frenchy Cannoli is, a classic hash maker who recently passed, but one of his big points or missions or statements was just education. That guy taught so many people and has made that information continuously available. FrenchyCannoli.com. If you are interested in hash, want to learn about making hash, how to judge hash, different kinds of hash, go to FrenchyCannoli.com. One of the best websites I could point you to deal with that. And you said, like the blonde Lebanese, the black tar, all of these things, like, they make my mouth water, because when we go to Amsterdam, like that's what we want, man. We want that hash because it's not in the US market on a commercial scale.
Exactly. Unless you live near a college town, because college guys, they get everything, so
You're right.
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And now where you are, is it fairly isolated, or are you near maybe like a college town or a city center where
I'm fairly close. I'm close to a city. I live in a city, actually. I'm in Illinois,
Okay.
fairly large city, so I really can't grow outside. I always tell people I'm afraid of pests, teenagers. So
Rippers.
I don't want to grow it all year and then have somebody take my bud. So it's all inside here. But
yeah. Now, I got distracted by chat for a second. Reading and listening and thinking is an amazing thing to do. Damn, stoner moment. I'm gonna take a smoke to that. So okay, where did you, or when did you start growing in this journey? Because for me, I was smoking well over a decade before I ever planted my first seed.
I actually grew back in the mid '90s. I grew the original Northern Lights strain, which it's not equaled with anything I've seen today. No Northern Lights is the same as what I had. I don't know what happened, but yeah. And then for a long time, the drug war and everything.
Yeah.
So I didn't grow for many, many, many years after that. But Illinois is legalized since. We've been legal for 3.5, I think, for medical grow. So.
Okay, that's good, because that was kind of one of my questions is, like, what is the landscape in Illinois? Is it medical? Is it adult use? Do you have stores to choose from? What's the scene in Illinois right now?
Well, the only people that can grow are medical. You can go to dispensaries. We do have recreational, and the medical, you can go to dispensaries. They don't charge any tax on the medical people. So but other than that, it's much better than it used to be. So I'm just happy to grow legally.
Yeah, having that little piece of paper, it makes you feel good, because in a lot of legal states or states with medicinal programs, I know Washington at first, it didn't make it legal to do, but it gave what is called an affirmative defense. So if you were ever busted, yeah, they're going to take it. Yeah, they're going to book you into jail, but you get released. And when you go to court, you have this affirmative defense that, unless you've just gone buck wild with it, the judge is going to say, okay, sorry, we're not reimbursing you for anything, but you're free to go. So
we don't have that. We don't have that here. I haven't heard of anybody. As a matter of fact, I've never heard of anybody getting raided. So, good. I keep within my plant limit. We have a 5 plant limit. It's kind of tough sometimes, but I do it. But, it's worth it for me, because, I'm too old to go to jail, I don't need that kind of shit. My wife is handicapped. She doesn't need that kind of grief either.
No,
so, it'd be really bad for her. So, but anyway, I love the legal grow here. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to do that. And, it can offer a lot of benefit to people. And I suspect that maybe, cannabis has been medicinal for you and for your wife, for people around you. When you started, obviously you were a lot younger, but when did it kind of click in your head that, hey, I'm getting some medicinal benefits from this thing?
Well, I have myself. I've had a bulge disc for a long time, so I've known that for quite a while. But when it really clicked was when I made salve out of THC, and that
Okay.
just shocked the hell out of me that it would actually stop muscle pain. I mean, it's not going to. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it stops the pain of a bulge disc. Nothing will touch that with a salve. You know, it's a surface. But if you have muscle pain, minor injury, stuff like that, the pain is gone. It's not just less, it's gone. And I think it's absolutely obscene that a physician does not have that in his arsenal of pain control. It's obscene. Just a salve on your leg instead of an opiate, you know?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And,
So
and, and here's like the thing that my brain pulls from that is, one, it's a salve, so it's a topical. You're putting it on your skin. You don't get high from it, so that takes out the people who are just like, oh, let's get high. You're doing that, and it's working for you. And again, the opiates, not so good on the internal system or the addictive system. A topical could be much better. You started experimenting with your own topicals. What was that process like as far as trial and error? Is there any words of wisdom for somebody who may want to try that? They can save themselves some headache.
we watched a lot of YouTube videos. We went to Percy's to see theirs. I don't know if Cocoa for Cannabis has a salve section or not. They probably should, but we looked at a lot of videos and checked all the stuff and read a lot of, we researched it a lot. So that was mainly it. And then we got a couple of machines. I've got a decarb, the Ardent decarber, and I have a magical butter machine. So
Okay.
between
And you were
those
saying,
two, I'm sorry.
oh no, please, I cut you off there. Between those two, you were saying?
Yeah, I think they pretty much cover it. The magical butter machine has the mixing blades, and I think that stirs it up, and but it works really good. And it just shocked me that something you can make at home with your own plant that you grew can stop that kind of pain. It just blows
Yeah.
my mind. Yeah.
And that's, yeah, it really is. It's mind blowing. It's so important to get that word out there. And it sounds like a pretty simple process. You're growing your plants, you're harvesting the plant. Are you putting, so in these two machines, the Ardent and the Magic Butter, you basically just place your plant material. Are you using the leaves? Are you using the buds? Are you using both? What are you putting in these machines?
Well, of course, if you use the buds, you're going to get a more concentrated, a higher level of whatever. If you're going for CBD or THC, you're going to get a higher level of that. So if you can, but you can use sugar leaves and trim if you want to. So, or you can even you can wash it or make keef out of it and use that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's quite a few ways of doing it. Yeah, exactly, and you don't have to use as much. So, but I would have had a list of ingredients right here if I knew we were going to get into that. But unfortunately,
Right. Oh,
but yeah,
I'm always curious about it because it's, I've played with it in the past, but it's not something that I do regularly, and it's not something that I did continuously. I'm like, well, let me try to do this, and then I do. Okay, I did it. But real quick though, Caribou, we were calling you out earlier. We were calling you out because you have a rad show. So everybody else on the rad show list we named were here, and now you're here. So okay, you're off the shit
excellent.
list,
Hey,
Caribou.
hey, Caribou.
now he's gonna go back and be like, "What the fuck did they say? We didn't say anything."
Huh?
We love you, Caribou. But I saw you pop up, so I wanted to say hi. But yeah, the list of ingredients really aren't usually that large. Some people will use like a mineral oil, a butter, glycerin. What do you put in the Magic Butter machine?
It's
Or is that answering my own question there?
well,
Butter.
we use cocoa butter is the or coconut oil, cocoa butter. We use for the concentrate for the THC or CBD. And use shea butter. Use we have a lot of the essential oils. Use tapioca flour to keep it from being too oily. There's a lot of different things you can add. There's probably 4 or 5 different recipes on the net you can look at. But it's really cool though. And once you
Yeah.
do it, you got a lot of it too. You make a lot at one time. So you're going to
Yeah.
have, a couple dozen cans, little cans of it. So
I'm glad you mentioned the tapioca flour because it being too oily is one of the things that I ran into as far as my initial problems. Trial and error. I'm one of those people who like I'll see it done somewhere and then I'll just try it and then I'll realize it was kind of close, but I should probably research a little bit. And then I'll research and then I'll do it right.
hey, our
But
first
that
batch was oily too. We had to go look for something that was a little less oily, and we found it. So worked pretty
yeah,
good.
that tapioca flour is good. And I just want to say hey to Let's Be Buds here. Let's Be Buds, if you have any information about the Last Prisoner Project event on the 16th, type it in the chat and I will put it up. We were talking about that earlier, so I just want to slide that in there too. Thanks for showing up today. And
Hi,
also
Rick.
to and yeah, Artman's going to be on his show on the 20th, you were saying, right?
Yes, September 20th.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Oh, September 20th. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I guess
September
that would
next
be
month.
tomorrow if we're talking August. So,
Yeah.
okay. You mentioned too potency and the difference between, if you just did all large fan leaves, you're going to get a different potency than if you used all sugar leaves. Different potency if you used all buds. So how do you kind of work that dosage or at least try to calculate it in your head? Because I don't have a machine I can plug my bud into and it says you are 22% and then I can get a number. So how do you go about calculating strength or maybe testing the strength?
I can't really. I mean, I don't know any way of doing that. I mean, all I know is if you add bud instead of, I would never use water leaves, by the way, the sugar leaves
Yeah.
and bud. But, you just have to trial and error as far as applying the salve to your injury or whatever.
Okay.
I really don't have a way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, me neither.
Like
It's
you.
like I know the math. I know the math. If you give me the percentage of the cannabis, then I can figure out the math. But without having that number or a handy way for us as home growers to get that number, you do kind of have to experiment. You're right. Starting with a good, strong material like the flour and the sugar leaves, absolutely going to be stronger. So you could start there. And again, good thing about topicals is it's not going to turn into one of those nightmare I ate too much edible stories.
Oh God, those are not fun.
No, not at all. How long do you tend to find with your particular salve? Like, how long after you put it on do you feel some relief in those muscles?
Well, it works within a half hour or so, but actually the salve is not the thing that really helps. Like my wife has cerebral palsy. The treatments are very painful just to keep her quality of life normal. And we've come across some smokable CBD. One strain was Harlequin,
Nice.
and she smoked a joint of that, and her pain went down 70%.
Wow.
It didn't disappear. It made it very manageable, though. And I'll tell you what, man, I've woke up with a headache, and she wakes up with headaches now and then. And if you smoke some Harlequin, about 70% of the time or so, it will stop the headache. Now, I'm not talking less. I'm talking killing.
Wow.
And for people, yeah, I mean, this is stuff I've experienced myself. I've had back pain and smoked this stuff, and the back pain went away. So, I'm not a holistic medicine guy. I realize most medicines are taken from an original natural source.
Yes.
They developed it and they concentrated or they synthesized it or whatever. But when I see it affect her like that, there's no doubt in my mind. And I think that everybody who has her condition should have access to it. But you know what? They don't.
No. Is the cerebral palsy one of the listed conditions in Illinois for medicinal cannabis? Or does it fall under like a general intractable pain
what it is
type?
it's cervical dystonia. muscle spasms. It's out of control muscle spasm. And actually, I myself have cervical dystonia too. My back muscles never calm down, even when I sleep.
Ooh.
They're always, I've been dealing with the chronic pain and I just found out I got osteoarthritis too. So, but you deal with it. And the Harlequin, I'll tell you what, man, it's amazing. It is. I've got a few seeds set back, and when I run low, I will make sure to always have it on hand.
Is she THC adverse, or does she enjoy some
no,
of that?
No. She'll smoke the THC, but the pain
Okay.
control came from the CBD one.
Okay. I just asked this because about 10 years ago now, the germ rate is probably horrible, but I have a ton of Harlequin crosses that I made. Because early on in the medical days, I got a Harlequin again for the CBD, for the medicinal benefits, and I crossed it with a lot of the stuff I had at the time. I don't have a way to test for CBD. So because I don't have a commercial license, medical license, yes, commercial license, no. You have to, in Washington, have a commercial license. So my project just kind of stalled there. I couldn't run the offspring and be like, okay, this is the one that has, really high CBD and low THC. So let's bring that back on the original Harlequin and try to, keep that up. So just in the back of your mind, I mentioned that you said Harlequin. I'm like, yes, I love that one. I worked with that one. In the back of my mind, or back of your mind, keep that there because I'd be happy to send you a bunch of those.
Oh, that's cool.
And
that's
just
great.
See what germinates. Again, it's kind of crappy germination rates. So I'll probably send you at least 50 of each. See what happens.
Okay. Hey, that's great. I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude, no problem. Again, this plant is medicine. This is why I got involved with cannabis. And I always say I selfishly am breeding for myself because I'm looking, and that's not really true, but I'm looking for the strain that works best with my body, perfect for the conditions I need it for. That's my quest. And if somebody has already found that for themselves, hell yeah, man. Support that, nurture that. I want to help that because that is the point. I think there's a lot of well-being that cannabis can bring. And you mentioned headaches in the morning. I talk regularly with a Dr. Mayabi Shields, and she had mentioned the endocannabinoid system, just kind of the cycle that it's on. And it's typically lowest in the mornings when you wake up. And that can be one reason why the wake and bake just kind of hits you a little bit different. But also, too, as she had mentioned, it's sometimes a reason that you wake up with headaches or you wake up with that stomach cramp. So I wonder if that is related in this situation at all either. But worth mentioning, I thought.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So for another question that I get a lot from people, and this particularly when I was working in the store, is, what do you got for pain? What's your best stuff for pain? And I would always say, well, there's different kind of pains. There's joint pain. There's muscle pain. I could go on, but you understand where I'm going there. For you, and this is something that somebody gave me a great answer for, but for you, you're starting to feel the pain. What is the first method you go for, or maybe what tends to work the best? Is it a combination of methods, or is just there one that knocks it out every time?
Well, since I grew the Harlequin, we go to that number one. It doesn't work all the time, but I'll tell you what, it has a high percentage. It really does.
That's good.
So, absolutely.
Do you do the salves out of that as well, or are you primarily just smoking that and then getting the immediate relief from
We're smoking it. We're smoking it. Now, one time, the wife woke up with a migraine, and I rolled a joint of Harlequin, but I also had some that I had pressed, some rosin, and I painted a stripe down the paper, and that knocked the hell out of that headache. It really did. Now, it didn't make it go away, but it made it manageable. So, and if you've ever had migraines, they're devastating.
Yeah, it's, very, I'm knocking on wood here. Few and far between. It's been a long while, but I'll get them occasionally. When I feel them coming on, it's like you hope you can get to a dark place and fall asleep before it sets in.
Otherwise, there you go. Lights. Yeah.
Yep, everything. So okay, because that was one thing I was curious, and somebody had mentioned to me, pain, like the edible helped them manage the pain throughout the day, but it was the smoking that got the immediate, like took the edge off. Immediate pain, the smoking, okay, I'm cool, and then the edible kind of kicks in and leaves it going for longer. So is it something where maybe you can have that Harlequin joint and then you rub some salve on and then you're good for a little while?
I think once you go to I haven't really gone to the salve as much as I have the smokables because it's immediate,
Yep.
and yep. So I'm mainly just doing that. But I mean, the salve does work, but I just been going to the Harlequin.
Yeah, gosh, that's awesome, man. It's a good strain. Have you tried playing around with or looking for experimenting with other minor cannabinoids like CBG or THCV? Any strains like that
I have
you've
not. I would love to know. I'd love to know more about it, though. That would be fantastic.
That's fun things that I'm playing around with lately too, is just trying to experiment with some of these minor cannabinoids or strains that have them. They show up predominantly, or at least in higher dosages, in hemp, which it doesn't have that fun THC stuff. But there are some good companies. I could think of like Hoku Seed Company, HOKU, Oregon CBD, Seattle Chronic Seeds as well. All of those people work with minor cannabinoids, and that's kind of their jam. So those are some seed makers or breeders you can look for if anybody's interested in some of these minor cannabinoids. I see a comment here, Slay on Slayer. CBG, precursor to CBD. CBG is kind of the precursor to everything. So yes, it is. Yeah, CBG is the initial form of the cannabinoids, and then they kind of change molecularly. Oh, I can never say molecular molecule action to convert to THC, CBD, CBN, some of these other cannabinoids. So yeah.
Now, where does the V come? Where's the V come in? I just learned about that Friday night. I'd never even heard of V.
Yeah, THCV. I'm
Yeah.
blanking what the V is right now.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll see like THCA, and that's the acid molecule on it. So what is the V? Variant. I actually got Google in front of me. Tetrahydrocannabivariant is a homologous of tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, having a propyl side chain instead of a pentyl, making it non-psychoactive in lower doses. So okay, so again, it's like THC, but it's got a couple other extra little bubbles on it on the chain. That's CBV or
Makes you wonder
THCV.
what those little bubbles do, in the brain. Those
It
extra ones.
does. It does. I mean, there's things like like Delta 8 everybody knows about. I heard of like THCO recently, and then there's a THC Delta 10. All of these molecules are in such minuscule amount. They may be very potent, but unless you're in a lab able to like isolate and consolidate, concentrate, we're never really going to know. So that stuff is kind of left to, I think, some of the scientists, because they'll be able to run those hemp fields. They'll be able to extract it en masse. It's not economically feasible for somebody like, you or me or as a grower to try to do that. I see High on Homegrown. Mackey's in here. Chat says THCV can be found in African sativa mostly and give a slightly uplifting high. So I wonder if that is one of those sun-driven cannabinoids. Outdoor plants express differently than indoor plants sometimes with their cannabinoid profiles, and the sun does seem to offer a little bit of extra. There's that extra magic in there. So THCV. Now, as far as the smoking, you did mention rosin. You did mention some hash. Do you go for the full-on concentrates with like dab rig? Have you tried any like high potent CBD strains in that effect? Oh, smash! There you go. Smash it up.
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
yes. Okay.
Yes.
Do you, how comparatively for the pain, comparatively, what is like a dab of Harlequin versus like a 2 tokes of Harlequin for you? Is it just faster? Is it more complete? Is it a different mind state? How does
I
that
think it just
differ?
hammers it. It just nukes it. It just blasts it. I mean, you got that concentrate, and it. By the way, it was all oil too. The CBD Harlequin pressed into oil. It wasn't any kind of wax or any kind of solids. It was really strange, but it's very strong. Yeah, I keep
Very
that
sweet.
on hand for those migraines. I don't smoke it
Yep.
much myself. It's just for her.
Yeah, well, good to have on hand. So you got to think ahead. And one benefit about having a medical card is, you know, the plant count. Hopefully you are able to grow more plants. I know in Washington State with a med card, they automatically be like, okay, 4 plants you can grow. But they have the ability to write up to 15 plants per patient. And for people who need to make RSO, for people who don't want to smoke and only make edibles, for people like yourself who want to make concentrates, you tell your doctor this when you're getting your prescription, and they'll be like, okay, well, 4 is not really going to do you, because it's true. You need so much more material to make some of these things. And then they'll write you a little 15. Is there any flexibility in the Illinois state system, or is it just capped at
Nope.
5?
Nope, it's tapped at 5. You can have 5 over 5 inches is the law. You
Okay.
can't have it, but you can. Now, Illinois is different. You can keep everything that you make or you grow and you process or whatever. You keep any of it. There's no limit on what you can have.
Right.
Possession limits in grow states are silly. It just doesn't make any much sense to me.
Oh, it's so silly. It's like your harvest automatically puts you over. And it's funny because in Washington
Yeah.
State, we're 8 inches. So this technically is not a plant. This is not a plant. This is
Okay.
one of my slow mutants. Yeah. Dude, this thing's already got 7 nodes
That
on it.
thing is, what is that, a hobbit? Oh.
Yeah, it's a little, it's getting killed later is what it is, because it's all its sisters are like this tall. So I'm just running through stuff right now, so I'm just getting rid of it because I don't want to baby it. But that's a good first world weed problem to have.
Yeah, well, we aren't allowed to share. We don't have any medical. We don't have any caretaker programs. We don't have anything like that. So we do have some shortfalls in it. But
yeah. Well,
that's a shame.
you know, I have yet to see the perfect system, but I've seen a lot of really horrible laws. So, you know, take the good with the hopefully changeable or adjustable.
Yeah, I think ours is pretty good overall compared to a lot of states. So I'm pretty happy.
Yep. And when did that happen in Illinois? How long ago?
I think it was 3.5 years. If I'm not mistaken, 3 to 3.5 years, maybe 4. God, time flies so fast, you know.
It does. And besides, we're all pot smoking hippies. Who remembers anything? Oh, shoot. Oh, let's see. A good question here for me is, Chad, what did you do to that plant? Canna bonsai. Yep, it is a canna bonsai, that thing. I almost want to flower it because the nodes are like this far apart from each other and it's growing. I'm wondering if it will just grow into like a football. That would be kind of cool. It's like a self-imposed sea of green almost. Just whoop, one big football bud.
It sure looks like it.
I know. I don't have room in the tent. I wish I did, because I would. I love those weird little ones, but no, I'll let it go. So, speaking of let it go, maybe we let go of another pack of beans here real quick. We always do Mr. Toads at the end. So let's give away another pack of beans. And again, the Mr. Magpie rule is dead. The Chilbert rule is in effect. So anybody in the world, Bubble Hawk, I'm looking at you all the way where you're at. I won't call it out. You can enter, my friends. And he's another high on homegrown homie there. He's got his own
yes,
show,
he is.
2 Bowls Deep, and he is on the regular Sunday show. Well, shoot, they do a ton of shows over at High on Homegrown, so check them out too. But anybody in the world can enter to win this one. And what is this one? This one, again, shout out to G Scepter, Grow Scepter. He is a community member. He just reached out, said, yo, dude, I got some stuff that I want you to get to the community. I hooked up with Wicked Genetics, and they sent me a bunch of stuff. So this one is from Wicked Genetics, and we are going to give it away. It is from the Chemlot series. It is called After Partay. You can see the little check mark. It is Old Man Glass, Old Man Time. Fruit Parfait times Chemlot. So, kaboom. We're going to put that in there. And let me go back to my handy StreamYard giveaway tool here. This is awesome. Television. Okay, anybody worldwide? And we're just going to say Chilbert rule. We are now playing by the Chilbert rule. All right, everybody in chat, go ahead and type. Ooh, wrong button. Type that into chat, and I will collect these. I'm still on the big screen by myself. That's what's happening when I go to a second screen, guys. Sorry. Bring you back. Okay. Yeah, everybody in chat worldwide, go ahead and just type Chilbert rule, because that is what we play by now. So good luck, everybody. Playing for this. And in the meantime, we'll keep talking. You had mentioned the 90s was when you kind of started growing, and a Northern Lights that you loved and you really haven't seen again. What was special about that one for you?
Oh, I'll tell you what. It was a friend of mine, RIP, he's gone years ago, but he grew a sea of green with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was absolutely beautiful. None of them were over, say, 16 inches tall. And the buds were so solid. It tasted so great. The buzz would just blast you. It's kick you back. You know, the classic couch lock. And it was wonderful. But like I say, I haven't seen it since. I tried a auto. Of course, you know, autos, you're not going to get exactly the taste of a reg. But,
no.
So.
Yeah, and that's just, you know, by nature. It's like anything auto has been crossed with something that was an auto.
Right.
A lot
of these things, absolutely.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those common things, because we'll see, you know, like a Northern. I actually do have a pack of Northern Light autos to say, but there's also, you know, like the Gelato auto. That's fun to say too. Gelato auto. But there's
I grew both of those.
Really?
I grew the Northern Lights auto. Now that was the smoothest keef. My wife loved that keef. It was smooth. She didn't cough once. It was so smooth. And then the auto gelato, I also grew that. So that's funny. And it does roll off of the tongue. Auto gelato.
It does. The auto gelato. I see the major generals in here. The auto gelato. So did someone say auto? We have summoned the major general. Auto gelato. That is your challenge, the major. Make it.
I wondered why it was so smoky in here. He's always smoking everywhere up.
Yep. What, you know, were there any other strains? Because, you know, like you said, when we started, we're about the same age, and 90s weed, you know, a lot of people my age, we all, well, some people 70s weed, some people 80s weed, but the majority of us were like, man, I wish I had that 90s weed back. Was there anything else from that era that maybe stood out to you, or something you're like, I wish I could get my hands on that again?
Oh yeah, there's, well, you know, the skunk, of course, and the oh shit, we had Jamaican, we had Hawaiian, we had red bud. What the
Ooh,
hell
heard of
was some
that.
of the other? Oh yeah, there was a lot of a lot of people say that weed is less or more potent. It was less potent then, but we had really good weed back then. You know, I mean, it was really strong, but it just wasn't as prevalent. That's all.
Right. Jamaican lion. That's another great one.
That was
Yeah, some of these
some of the
things.
sweetest I'd ever had was Jamaican. It was so sweet. Oh God, I still think of that.
Gilbert's joining us. Gilbert UK, buddy. We got rid of the Magpie rule and replaced it with the Chilbert rule because we can now go worldwide with every contest. So we're calling it the Chilbert rule is in effect. That's how your name appeared on screen, just in case you came in and you started wondering
Yeah,
what are these guys talking about now? So Chilbert rule in effect. Those are some good strains, man. I
as far
definitely
as
miss them.
growing though, I only had the one, and then everything went to shit. So my growing time then ended for many years.
Yeah, but you picked it back up. Was there many differences in like the knowledge or the technology, maybe the equipment from when you first did it to when you picked it up again?
I started with like a 400-watt HPS, a couple of those, but then
Yeah.
when I started up again, I used a high pressure sodium, but it was a dimmable uh,
Okay.
600-watt pair of those, air excuse me, air cooled. So, but then I went to the LED, and I'm never going back, of course.
Yeah, I did that. 400 watt HPS was my first HPS light as well. I still actually have it. Sentimental value.
So do I.
Um, okay,
Metal
good.
halide, had a metal 400 metal halide as well. So,
Nice. Yep. And then once I did, I went from that. I went to the blurples, and I was kind of like, well, I think my plants like it. They're growing a little bit better. But then I went to the today's white light full spectrum LED, and I was like, damn, my plants like this. Um, Ultimately, though, if I had a big room, I would probably do mixed lighting. I'd probably do like 70% or maybe 80% LED and then 20 or 30% with the classic HPS or ceramic metal halides in there. So that's if I had, you know, everything I ever wanted. Back to
I
my
hear
closet.
that. If you had the height, if I had the height, that's my problem.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. That's he's doctors talking about Thai weed here. Yeah, whenever I hear that, I just think tall. I grow intense, so I can't. I grow intense, man. No, I grow in grow tents. So I'm limited. I had one strain from Irie Genetics. It was a lemon sunrise, and I believe it was the lemon Jeffrey that Rasta Jeff had been using as his male for a lot of different crosses. That thing is so damn vigorous. I was like, holy crap. I was impressed. It took over my tent. I said, if I ever grow outside, it's the first one growing in the ground. But yeah, some of these things I can't do either. How do you feel about flowering time, though? Is there a too long for you?
Well, I
Because
always judge it by the trikes. Got to go by trichomes. That's the only way
nice.
I can judge it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the best way to determine kind of your peak nut ripeness is looking at the trichomes. Just with some of these taller like sativas, like those ties, I bet they don't finish in under 12 weeks. I usually like the 8-weekers for my grow, but do you grow any of those long flowering strains, like
No,
the
I don't have
hazes
the
or
height.
something?
Yeah, I don't have the.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a G13 haze, but that was a fairly short plant. But yeah, I don't have the height. My room is only 6 foot tall, so I'm kind
Yeah.
of limited
Yep.
as far as that goes.
Let's go here and holy cow, real quick, let's go ahead and do this giveaway. We have 96 now, which is the reverse of what we had before. Chilbert rule in effect. Good luck, everybody, and this is worldwide. So we'll do the drawing there. And we wait to see who is going to win, and then we'll ask where you're from. Mr. Burns Grow. Congratulations. It's another person I see in a lot of people's chats, which is always freaking awesome. Getting around, supporting the community. So Mr. Burns Grows, just let me know real quick in chat where you are located. Just country. Just tell me the country you're located in, and we will get you the prize. Wicked Genetics. This one. If you can't see it, the after party. If you're in the U.S., if you're not, we will get with Chilbert and Big Blazer UK, and I'll go back and read their Instagram and let you know which one it was. But let's see here. Let me scroll down. Scroll. They do reply yet, Mr. Burns. Woo-hoo. Yep. Just let us know what country you're in, and then we'll get that sorted out. But back to talking more cannabis. What was your favorite strain that you grew?
Flow OG. I still have it, actually.
Nice.
It's
now, I'm wondering if anybody in chat, don't ruin it for them. If anybody in chat can tell me who the breeder of Flow is, FLO. Because you know who this person is. Just if I said one other strain, you would absolutely know who it is. And this person's really known for making really only 4 strains. The Flow is one of them. So I'm wondering if anybody in chat knows. So, okay, I'm
Legend.
sorry. Go ahead. Tell us. Yeah.
Legend.
Yep.
I know exactly who it is. I know the
Yep.
genetics of that. I know the lineage of that, too. Flow OG was Afghani Indica and Purple Tide.
Great, man. Great combination. What there did you like about it? What was it that made it your favorite plant to grow?
Well, a friend of mine I had a knock on the door, and a friend of mine is standing there with a grin on his face, and I let him in, and he's got 3 cuts. Yeah, he's got 3 cuts. One of Cheese, one of San Fernando Valley OG, and then one of Flow OG. And I grew all of them out. They all got roots, so. And it was wonderful. But the cheese was great taste, great smell, loved the flavor, but it grew sideways and weird. It didn't really grow like a normal. It was almost like a vine to me. The San Fernando Valley OG was real tall, had lots of space between nodes, way too tall for my room. But the Flow OG, it was a medium height, very dense buds, nice size buds. I had what was it? Phantom OG and Holy Punch, and they both got botrytis. Flow OGs in the same grow tray didn't get anything, so it's got some resistance. I'm thinking apparently a little resistance to.
Yeah, that's impressive, and those are the little things that growers can look for. And new growers, sometimes you have accidents, or let's say the power goes out, shit happens. And there's actually just some strains that freaking like you cough on it and they'll catch things like bud rot, botrytis. But if you have a room full or a tray full of things and you're like, dude, this whole room is screwed, and that one's still healthy, but just fuck them, pay attention to those things. Because like you said, it could have those genetics, those genes that make it less susceptible to it. Because I'm assuming they were all in the same health when they caught it.
Absolutely, yeah. They looked great. I mean, the Holy Punch had a really large cola. It looked like a Christmas tree. As a matter of fact, I have a picture. I put a star on top of it just for Christmas, and I took a picture of it. So, but I cracked it open. I was trimming it, and I started looking at it. It was all inside too. I couldn't tell from the outside. Cracked that sucker open, and it was black goo. It was unbelievable. Of course, you just pitch it, it's gone. But all the flow, nothing on the Flow OG. So I was extremely happy. So I've been hanging on to that for a long time, and it clones really good too. I mean, it clones at the blink of an eye. So.
Now, what have you primarily, grown from when it comes to getting new things into the garden? Do you a lot of times go from seed, or do you have like a clone hookup? How do you kind of select those things?
I don't have any I'm kind of leery of getting clones, actually. You never know what you're going to get. I've had offers, but I've never really taken them. But you know,
Yeah.
I've had lots of seeds sent to me. So if I want something new, like I had Jack Greenstock sent me some Velvet Punch.
Nice.
OC Grower 76 off of YouTube sent me Rainbow Butter, which produced great rosin. It was fantastic. So, and these guys, yeah, I've been giving some of the seeds away too. He sent me a pack of them, or a bunch of packs, and I sent them away or sent them off. So
that's kind of a fun thing too, is giving away seeds. And I was listening to a conversation the other day, and they're talking to, it was one of the breeders, and you know, he always gives away free seeds, and sometimes people come back and specifically you're like, dude, can I buy more of those? And usually the free seeds thing is just like a free seeds thing. We're just giving them away to, you know, stoke people out. But the point was, the majority of free seeds that you send people with an order wind up in somebody else's hands. So that's actually kind of cool, because for, you know, one purchase, you get 2 people or 3 people to experience the work that you're doing. So send free seeds, breeders. Send free seeds. And if they don't,
people share all the time. People are sharing all the time.
Good. Well, that's what I like to hear, man. Is there, well, I don't know. This may be a weird question, because I was going to ask, is there, you know, a good like community where you're at of sharing? But turning that question on myself, you would think I probably, yeah, sure, I know tons of people. We meet up all the time. We share. No, I don't. I don't have that around here. But is there anything like that for you in your area?
Around me? No, not really. I don't know any local growers, actually. I knew a guy who was running the store, but the store shut down. But other than that, I really don't. I don't know too many. I got to witness. They had aquaponics set up there and some really cool stuff. But other than that, I don't know anybody. I know a lot of people on your show in chat. I know a lot of these people from all over the place.
Yeah, a lot of awesome people. And you mentioned, you know, right there, you kind of mentioned aquaponics. And you run a little bit differently. You run hydroponics. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. Indeed. When you want to look at it, we can.
Let's take a look at the setup, man. I love to look at gardens, and I love to look at hydroponic setups, because that's not something that I do on a regular basis. I've grown more vegetables and greenhouse stuff hydroponically than I have grown cannabis. So
I'll start from the beginning. There's my clone. I only do 2 or 3 clones at a time, but Rockwell cubes under a spiral fluorescent 150 watt bulb.
Nice. And so the dome's keeping your humidity in there. The Rockwell cubes. How often do you need to put water in the bottom of that, or is like the condensation kind of enough to keep those Rockwell cubes moist?
All I do is just, come on, you. I got it.
Just lift them up and spray. Okay.
Just spray up and make it nice and humid. That's it. Keep them humid. I pick up the cube and I weigh it in my hand, and I tell if it's moist enough. If it's not, I'll add some more. I'll spray the bottom of it, and it'll get heavier. So, and then I finish there, and I bring them over to this unit, which is a ebb and flow. It's old school. See, my inspiration came from NASA. I was always fascinated. I was fascinated. I grew up in the 60s, so I'm an Apollo astronaut. You know, all that was really cool. And then into the 80s. But when I read an article, and they had a tomato plant, and I could swear they said they got like 5,000 pounds off of one tomato plant, because they just kept it going and going and going. But it was hydroponics. And as a teenager, a young teen, I thought that's really cool. And I thought space and, you know, growing on the moon or whatever. But when I started to grow, I thought, yep, that's it. 5,000 pounds of tomatoes. That's where I'm at. But anyway, this is ebb and flow. It uses a pump on a timer, floods the tray, fills it up, and then it drains into here. It drains down into the reservoir.
Okay. So the ebb and flow systems is basically kind of a reservoir where you're adding water to it at certain time intervals and then it drains? Like, do you let the water sit in there for a certain amount of time and then drain it? Or is it once it gets to a certain level, it drains? How does the draining start
Well,
to work?
well, my system's a little different than most of them. Mine is almost like I have I don't really use a substrate. I have a 4-inch net pot. I
Okay.
don't know if I can pick this up or not.
Well, yeah, don't ruin anything.
Oh,
if
I'm
it's
not
in
going to
there.
dirt. Oh, it's
Yeah,
not going to
okay,
damage
cool.
anything. But all it is enough to stabilize the plant, and the roots hang down under it like a recirculating deep water culture
Okay.
system. So, but I use a tray instead of a bucket. So, and these are 2 trays to keep them separate. I don't want the roots all growing together. That I did that last time. It was a mess.
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah, I had to cut them apart, you know. But you know
yeah,
what? It didn't even affect it. It didn't even affect it at all. So the growth is so dynamic in this type of system. These plants here are 4.5 weeks from cutting
What?
clone. I have
Yeah.
I'm absolutely serious. It's just under
Wow.
5 weeks. Yeah, they grow so fast. It's incredible. It is. I'm using Jack's 321
Okay.
nutrients,
Okay.
and
You were
I use
reading my mind there, because I'm like, how do you feed something like this, and what are you feeding? Because that's explosive growth, and that's one of the
it's
huge
incredible.
benefits of hydro. That's why people love it. It's popular because the growth is fast and it's explosive.
Well, there's another reason I'm using it too, and that goes back to the medical thing. I can't pick
Okay.
up a pot to see, like you pick up a pot to see if he needs watered. I
Yep.
can't pick up a pot. That action, for some reason, my specific injury on my back, I just can't do it. It nukes me every time. So I'm using pumps and hoses to move almost everything, all my nutrients back and forth. So I don't have to carry large pots of cocoa or soil
Mhm.
out. And I'm using the same rocks I've had for years. So I just boil them up and reuse them. So that's,
Boiled, just sterilizes
yeah, I
them
just
for you.
sterilize them. Yeah, I just sterilize them. Yeah, that's it. So.
And with the Jax 321, are you putting that into like a reservoir that then flows into these trays, or do you add it directly
Yeah,
to the tray? How is it?
here's the reservoir,
Okay.
and I changed the reservoir with the Jax 321. Actually, it's more of a Jax 32 because a friend of mine, Brian 420, he's a real data nerd. I know he's going to love that. But anyway, he analyzed all the chemical compositions, and he made a recipe that more mirrors I think it's like the top 5 nutrient companies, because Jax is not specifically for cannabis.
Right.
So,
There was another person that I've worked with in the past, Tad Hussey from Kiss Organics. We did the Dope History project together, but he also has his Cannabis Science and Cultivation podcast. And within the last month or two, he had the like one of the chief scientists from Jax on there, and it was a awesome interview because I learned a lot more about that company and what it
I bet.
does and how it operates. So that would be a fun listen if you haven't seen that and you do use it. I'm pretty sure you can just type KISS
Hey,
Organics
that'd
into
be
the YouTube
great.
search bar. But yeah, the Cannabis Science and Cultivation podcast is the other one that he does without me. But yeah, check that out because the Jax
Yeah,
321 stuff is gaining in
it's
popularity
J.R.
for sure.
Peters. J.R. Peters is the company. They do large farms, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course, I have a pH doser there. Saves me a
Yeah,
lot of time. Oh my God, that's wonderful.
because
And now I'll
that
take you in.
so that real
Uh,
quick though, the pH though
hmm?
of the water, because a lot of people are doing like organic living soils, and
Right.
they're like, yeah, I don't pH, I've never tested a pH, and cool, that's fine, works in that system. But different systems, this system being the most crucial for pH, like, can you maybe tell us what range you try to keep it in and what happens or has happened to you if it goes outside of that range?
Well, in the ebb and flow in the veg, I try to keep it at 5.8. I've been inching it up a little bit. I'll change it up a little bit on the flower because the plant takes up nutrients at different rates, different nutrients at different pH levels. So I'll go between say 5.9 to I'm going pushing up to about 6.2. So I'm seeing how that works out. It's worked out pretty good with Brian's recipe. So, but I'll figure it out. But
That's good. I don't know. I just love doing the show and tell today. But you mentioned, that nutrients are absorbed at different pH ranges, and what he means is this chart right here. You can see
that's exactly it.
Availability according to pH, and you see, your 6.0. And soil is different than hydroponic. So yeah, that's what he means by pH. And that's why the pH of your medium is important, because these, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, all these things get taken up and absorbed at different levels. If you're way off the scale towards one end, you could be locking out certain nutrients, even though you've got a ton in your soil, or in this case, your water. So
that's it.
Okay, just wanted to mention that.
Right.
And one more time before you go to the other spot. What plants are those? What are we looking at, man?
Oh, those are Flow OG. Those are my babies. Flow OG.
All right.
And they are so fat. God, the stalks are just so heavy. They're great. These are some of the better ones I've had. And I've done this. I've had a mother, a clone, and then I flower the mother. I've had, I don't know how many generations I've had of this, but it's still, I haven't noticed any drift whatsoever as far as the buzz goes. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's growth.
Good.
I mean, I've heard of genetic drift, but I've not seen it. So this is one that's great.
That's good. And yeah, I've gone clone to clone to clone to clone to clone for years on the same strain, and keep them healthy. You'd be amazed at how solid, like you're saying, they stay. So, okay, I get one more question. I'm gonna one more question you to death here.
Okay, go ahead. No problem.
So when do you flip to flower? Especially something that grows so rapidly. Like for me, I would be like, I'm gonna run out of space soon.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. I have a lot of trouble with scheduling. The last ones I put in, you're going to see in a minute. They were a little too tall when I put them in, so I paid the price. Like, I don't know if I'll even flower these two, because I might. I've got a couple clones. The ones in the flower have like 5 weeks to go, and I can't do 5 weeks on these girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So these will probably be cold. As soon as I get roots on the clones I got, I'll probably just cull these two. So.
Yeah, or you can practice like extreme topping, or for other growers out there who may not be comfortable with certain techniques, like maybe actually bending, or super cropping, rolling it and then bending it. Fuck around with the plants you don't care about. That's the best way to learn. So
great idea.
Yeah, I always suggest that to people. When they're cleaning up their lowers, they're like, "Well, I never take clones because I don't really know how, or it never really works." I'm like, every time you clean up the bottom of your plant, you have the opportunity to practice cloning. So clone it. Get it.
I love cloning. I have no trouble cloning. I do really good. Now seedlings is another thing. They're so fragile. Gosh, they are.
Yes.
They're terribly fragile.
Yes. Or broken scepter. Excellent point too. Or give them to a friend. Or grow me after you do that, because I have a habit of cloning too many and then thinking I'll kill them and I don't. Okay, I'll let you walk away from here. I've one more question to you too many times.
All right, we're going to go into the nutrient area, the RO.
Okay, the black thing over there.
Yep, yes, the reverse osmosis. And this is a 55-gallon barrel. Okay. That's my holding tank. My mixing. I got tired of mixing with a spoon, so I put a couple of water pumps on this little rack, and it works real good. Though you plug it in, but anyway. And here we go over to the reservoir. Got another pH doser, of course. Mm-hmm. And my reservoir, 55-gallon reservoir. Have a chiller. That changed my grow completely.
What
I would try.
yeah, what symptoms were you seeing, and did you know the temperature of the water then versus when you cooled it?
Oh yeah, I had a slime growing in my water at higher temperatures. It was terrible. And I tried, as a younger grower or a newer grower, I tried the sugar products. They always say you're going to sweeten whatever, but it was a disaster and it was goo. It was just goo. I had to empty the whole thing and start over again. So
Yeah, because I talk about just water temperature for the amount of
oxygenation.
oxygen
There you
content.
go.
Thank you. Oxygenation. Yeah, the oxygen content of the water. When it's hotter is less. When it's cooler, it's better. So what is it set to? 86 or sorry, that's too hot.
69.
Way too hot. 69.
69.
Okay, 68. Sorry, I
And then I have an aquarium
transposed that in my
heater.
head.
I have an aquarium heater there. I put a Pyrex dish at the bottom of my reservoir, and I have an aquarium heater that warms it up in the winter because it's quite cold here, and the floor
Okay,
gets
okay.
really cold. It gets cold. So everything is elevated too. All right, let's see. And all
And
of
a
my
lot of
outlets
this
and
is
everything, I rewired this whole basement. They all have dedicated 15 amp breakers to each one, each four
nice.
sets. So I'm overkill. Okay, here is the room.
Right. Nice trellis there. Got a good system set up. Looks like a PVC trellis system.
Double
Is that
scrog.
something?
Okay, synchronized timers. This is I called the other one ebb and flow because it kind of elicits an image of the tide, ebb tide, gravity. This is not gravity anymore. I bring those plants into here, and they're synchronized timers. So I'll call this one flood and drain because it floods from the reservoir, comes into here, and then it pumps it back. So I have room for 4 plants. So, and of course, this one was a little too tall when I put it in. So, and I had really bad heat problems at night. So it stretched
Oh,
on me.
okay.
Yeah, it sucked.
Okay.
But
Well, I've had plants that have stretched above the lights before. First time I grew the skunk #1, I remember I'm like, well, I'll just see what happens. But no, this actually looks manageable, and that net is helping hold
this is
things
zero.
down there. Was that
This is
something that
2
you?
plants.
Okay.
Hmm?
Oh,
2 plants. New England rock candy is about a third of it over there. And then the rest is the one flow OG plant. So
nice.
she's very aggressive.
It looks like it. Is there a certain profile that you prefer to grow, or are you like the fruity, floral, earthy, or gassy guy, or what do you go for? Or maybe variety, is that your thing?
I've been growing quite a few varieties here of late, but I don't really have a favorite. I like so many of the flavors. It's just, I'm not really picky about it. I just love a strong flavor.
Every time it hits my lips, it's like, oh, yeah, I know. There's very few that I will say no to. Um,
Yeah.
I enjoy a wide variety of flavors, and that's why with the home growing, I like to grow kind of small plants because I can fit more in the tent and have a little bit more variety.
Right.
But when I find that one, we were talking about earlier, once I find that one, I'll turn a whole 4x4 tent into just a super scrog, and boom,
There
done
you
with
go.
that.
Well, I'm growing for me, my wife, and my press. My press is those things are. I'm telling you, they're like I tell people it's like feeding a starving mule. That thing will eat your stash so fast, it's crazy.
It is, man.
It's
That
nuts.
that stuff takes a lot of starting material. What we were saying earlier, it takes a lot of starting material. What you get out of it is concentrated. It takes less to get the same effects. But yeah, man, a lot of starting material. What light are you running with there? Is that
Read my
HLG?
mind. HLG R spec.
Oh, that's a
The
very popular light.
it's the Scorpion R spec. That's it.
Very nice. Heard a lot of good things about those, and I see a lot of good results. Not used them myself, but I've been pretty impressed. hearing the stories. And I also understand that they have a pretty decent and easy to get a hold of customer service department. So that anybody looking for a light, considering buying a light, not only do you look at the specs, not only do you realize that 98% of lights videos on YouTube are paid for, I'm no different. Read reviews and check for customer service related reviews, because those can be important to you. But yeah, just do your research. But that's an awesome looking light. I know the Dude Grows guys are always talking about that. I think they grow with it as well. So how long have you had that one in there?
It's a little warm, honestly. The quantum boards are a little warm for me. I have a Diablo as well. I can't use the Diablo in here because it's too much of a hot spot in the center. So
yeah,
but I'm looking probably going to a bar light.
I like the bar style lights. I did move away from the quantum boards because you do get that kind of a hot spot in the middle. It's also less airflow, which helps keeps the bar lights cool. But I also get more of an even, diverse spread with the bar lights. And I think that's how a lot of the industry is moving as far as design. You know, every couple of years, there's a new concept that comes out. It sticks or it doesn't. But the bar lighting, I think, is one that definitely has stuck. And that's really the footprint that you're going to see the majority of new lights coming out as. So
it's
HLG,
a par map.
though,
it's the par map that I like. The par map on the quantum boards are a little higher in the center. They're always going to be a little less on the edge. The bar lights, they're more even.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely agree. And mine is a little oversized according for the suggestions for my tent, but it fits exactly pole to pole in my tent. So I just run it on the dimmer and I have literal pole to pole coverage of light in there. So there's really not a dead spot. There are areas that are a little bit stronger than others. Oh, I'm sorry. I just fully spotlighted you again. Or I left it on spotlight again. But that's because I was distracted by Chad. EP, what's up, buddy? He does some awesome shows over on Future Cannabis Project in SCP02 channels, and he does a lot of shows, particularly the one yesterday, that talk about hash. And he says, you can't smoke hash all day if you don't start in the morning. And that brings me to your press, man. Can you maybe give us a little...
Wait a minute. We're going to go see Hashman John first. You were saying hash, so...
Yep. Hashman John, he's smoking on the plate, and
oh yeah,
this is a watercolor painting, correct?
Yes.
That's freaking insane.
He does my washing for me.
Okay.
That's why I call him Hashman John. A lot of people want him to visit, but they can't have him. He's mine.
Busy. But maybe you can tell us a little bit about the press that you have, or maybe how to use it, or how you kind of, because I've seen different methods, watching the shows that DP's doing, making some people will make like a flat puck like that, other people will make like the round disc. I've seen people just loosely throw stuff in bags. So for somebody who's not experienced with one of those presses, what is the process for you? Like, how does it start? And then walk us through that for you.
I can do that if you... I tell you what, I can actually press one if you want.
Oh, snap, sure, if you like.
Let me fire that mug up. It'll take a few minutes to warm up. Let me get a jar here.
Okay, yeah, no worries. So I see there's the black box on the right hand side. It's got dual screens. It looks like you just turned that on. What are the dual screens doing?
This is his name, by the way. Yep.
Nom.
Oh, it's dual plates. Each one has is for the control of the temperature of the plates.
Okay, so upper and lower plate, they get heated by this machine. Are you setting them to a specific temperature, and do you set
Absolutely.
them the same? Okay.
180 degrees. I've only had my press since Christmas, so I'm not an expert on it. There's a lot of people who do much better work with them than I do, but I can show you what I do. 180.
Yeah. Cool. Because that's something that I don't have a, excuse me, I don't have a press here because I don't really smoke concentrates much, but that's something that I'm probably going to get here in the next year just to play with some returns on. And I know people that I could give it to, med patients that I could be like, here you go. Because I do have some dabs in the drawer. I do have a dab rig, but you give me a gram and it'll last a year. So
Uh,
I think I can
it
give
doesn't
away.
last. It doesn't last that long for me anymore. I'll burn through that. This thing is hungry though. But this is a rosin bag. It's 80. What the hell do they call it? 80U.
Okay, and so it's just like a little screen bag.
It is. It is.
Don't start
The
cutting
nugs.
holes in your neighbor's screen door, but yeah,
Not
get
likely.
the right kind of bag.
Try to get buds that don't have sticks in it.
Is that more important?
This strain is rainbow butter. It's the best return strain I have. But you definitely don't want to poke a hole in your bag. I had one blowout. That's it. I've only had one blowout, and there's green leaf material in the rosin, so it kind of. I mean, it still got you plenty high, but it just didn't taste as good.
Okay, because that was my next question. I'm like, so is that just like a purely cosmetic thing, or is that like poorly cured weed? You're just like, oh, you're killing me here.
What?
So a little bit of flower material in the rosin can make it a much harsher smoke.
Oh yeah, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's like when you do keef, if you do dry sift, if you have more leaf material in there, it's not going to taste as good. Okay.
And do you
parchment paper?
Okay, that I have. That I remember from the hair press days. Yes, I actually did literally have a hair straightener, people, because I was around.
No kidding. How'd that work out for you?
It worked at the time. Again, that's where I learned how it eats stuff real quickly. But yeah, dude, I mean, it turned out in like shatter for me, probably because it was too hot. But I just did enough to like make a couple hits for myself, and then some hits for my buddies at work. I was like, dude, try this stuff. They're like, yeah, it's cool. I'm like, never doing it again. Because I'm a flower guy, and all the flower that I sacrificed for like that one little hit. But I definitely wasn't doing it right. Obviously, I'm using a hair straightener like years and years and years ago. So,
well, even with my press, this is a really nice. It's a fairly decent press. If I press older flower, I don't get much return at all. So it matters how old it is. Yeah.
Huh.
So.
Huh.
Yeah.
And there's to see a comment here from Bubble Hawk. Let me change my thing here. Oh no, it's cancel.
I'm just waiting for the temperature to go up.
Okay, that's fine. Where did it go? Okay, he says, yeah, you don't want bio in the rosin chad. It messes up the banger. So that could be another reason too. I hear people like to chaz their bangers. That's the hip terminology I learned from watching DP shows. Chaz the banger. I don't even know what that means. No, I'm just joking. That's probably what my banger looks like right now, because I don't clean that, man. I don't have Q-tips. I don't have that. Yeah.
I use an e-dabber now. I have an e-dabber. I got 2 of them so I don't run out of power. I don't like the torch. Yeah.
No. That honestly is why I did not get into concentrates and dabs when they first came out and just kind of gained popularity. It's like, no offense, but dude, I'm old enough, and you probably remember too, but the 80s and the crack epidemic, it was all about the fucking like crackhead with the blowtorch in the corner, just pooky. Like that's the only image that ever comes to my mind when I hear a blowtorch is like fucking pooky in the corner. So yeah, it just one of those Puffcos or the Magna Cartas or whatever. There's a few different brands now of the cool little volcano looking things. No torch needed there. But yeah, I did say Pookie, not sure. And if nobody knows who Pookie is, Chris Rock, man. Go back. New Jack City. Look it up. So we're waiting for those to get hot. And I assume you You ever try cooking an egg on there?
Not likely. You know how much this thing
Okay.
costs? You ain't gonna cook an egg
Okay.
on it, let me tell you. Not me.
Okay, stoner chat over here. I'm like, I wonder if you could cook an egg on it. Probably no. You probably at least get a decent grilled cheese out of it, but yeah, probably don't
I'm
want
sure you could.
That actually is one of my wife's favorite uses for can of butter when we make it. It's just like making some grilled cheese sandwiches with the can of butter. Dude, goes so good. Who doesn't love a grilled cheese sandwich? Besides the lactose intolerant. I'm sorry. She doesn't eat lactose. She uses the fake cheese too. So it's still possible. Cold start ghetto hippie is saying, yep, cold start's a good way to go. From what I'm hearing. So do you have like a magic number of pumps that you do, or how
Nope.
do you kind of gauge the pressure there?
Nope. I have a pressure gauge, actually.
Okay. Oh,
I have a pressure gauge.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is if you get one, if you can afford it at all, get one with a gauge. It makes a big difference. You can tell exactly what you're doing. Numbers don't lie, my friend.
And they allow for repeatability. You know, if you're like,
You got it.
I think it was 12 cranks, or maybe it was 15. No, it's, you know, whatever PSI it's set at. I wouldn't even know a range to guess. It's probably a lot more than just my hands and that hair straightener. It's probably a lot more pressure than that, though.
About 1,600 pounds right now. It'll go just below 1 ton. No, you didn't get that with your hair thing.
But I'm strong.
Yeah, you are. A real man, huh?
Yeah, right? Go look at this hair. That's why I have the beard, so people aren't confused from 2 blocks away.
Ah.
Oh man, I did a set up. We got an art show in town this weekend. I'm not doing it this year, but my wife actually is, and we were setting up. We were setting up this morning, and I'm like doing my thing. I like set up, and I look over, and there's this dude. Like, yeah, I'm a dude. So it was kind of funny. Gotcha. Yeah, I know. We're in an off-topic story. But yeah, getting the right amount of pressure can make a big difference. And that's one thing that I learned just through educating myself, is that the more pressure, the better. And you're actually going to get a higher return.
Well, not really there. Not really,
No?
Chad. I'm going to have to correct you here. This is a low pressure right now for longer time. And I do get a lot. If you go too much, you get a lot of stuff that you're not really wanting. So,
like,
I mean, I've got a 12-ton press here, and I'm not going over 2,000 pounds. So, I mean, I've got the capacity. But
Right. So there is a point of diminishing returns then, because it's like light. You know, we can, if you feed 1,000 watt of light in a 2x2 tent, no, it's not going to be happy. It's overkill. So there is such a thing.
There you go.
Here with the pressure too, then. Okay. And then that's basically just to prevent the bags from blowing out, or the leaf material from entering the rosin.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. But if you go a low pressure too, I'm not really, like I say, I've only had it since Christmas, so I don't know all the technical stuff. I've learned some stuff from the people at Cocoa for Cannabis. A couple of guys in chat are really, really good at it. So I just copied what they're doing, honestly.
Right. And that's the fun about experimenting and being part of a community too, is, there's a lot of magic in learning, and sometimes the passion dies if you know something, or you know too much, or you're the smartest person in the room. I love wondering. I love asking what if, and then learning. So this part in particularly is fun for me, because again, I can grow a plant very well, but I wouldn't know what PSI to set this at. So
I didn't either. Not before this. Not before I had it. I wouldn't have known. So 42 seconds left. 41.
Okay. So now, So, kind of a lower pressure, but a longer heat. Do you lose anything as far as like maybe terpenes or return by doing maybe something like harder and faster? Granted, you're not blowing out the bag, but do you get
Yeah.
anything different,
Weed
like a
Nerd
different
swears
nuance?
fast and hard is better. You get more terps, but I
Okay.
haven't really experimented like him.
Mm-hmm.
See.
Slow it down. And now, how long do you? Oh my,
Oh
wow,
my, that is the rainbow butter. My God, that's just so
that's
much.
freaking
That
awesome.
is an incredible return for.
Wow,
I
let
mean,
me blow that up. Yeah. Wow. Now, so what do you do with it from here? Do you scrape it off, put it in the jar? Do you put it in the freezer or the fridge? What would be your next step on this?
now my next step, I'd scrape it off and put it. I have put a little in a little jar, and then I'd smoke it because I don't have a lot of
Easy.
it. Now the other people, I know some people who actually have more. They like to whip it and put it in the refrigerator for a week and cold
Okay.
cure it. So
Mhm.
that's what they do. But I just don't have the patience right now. Maybe if I get more, then I will. But
Right.
and
And
it
that,
just
yeah, that would last me months. Maybe all year.
yeah. Well, you're a
Wow.
flower guy, he said. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
it's
a
okay.
lot of people. Well, yeah, I'm kind of saving my endocannabinoid system for when it needs higher dosages. I'm, you know, reserving my body for that later because I imagine I'll need it, and products like that will serve the purpose. So a lot of people in here saying like, "Wow, that's nice, damn." So good returns, beautiful.
It is very much so. He's getting
Yeah.
ready. That's a rainbow butter cultivar from OC Grower 76.
Okay.
So
So OC Grower 76. Not familiar with them, but that doesn't mean anything. Where are they out of?
he has a lot of YouTube videos. He's grown in cocoa. He's got rock wool. He's got soil. I think he's got like 70 or 80 videos, grow videos, and
Nice. Okay.
a couple on pressing. He doesn't press flour though. He presses bubble hash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Seen that. Seen that. Um, we're gonna do another giveaway here in just a couple minutes because we're coming up already. Gosh, towards the end of the show. This has been awesomely fast. Real quick though, we were just talking about breeder. What is maybe one or two other breeders that you have enjoyed that you can maybe recommend or yeah, would recommend to people out there to check out?
Kyle Breeder, I'm sure you probably know him, I guess. He's pure
Yeah,
breeding, the New England rock candy. One of them is in my flower room now, and I just harvested one last time. The
oh, is
American one, shout out to him.
yes.
I got Amy Aces. I just pressed some of that earlier today. So, and he's,
Shout out to
I
the
believe
American one.
Daga. Is it Daga Seeds? I
Yep,
believe
yep,
is the name of it.
yep.
Excellent.
Daga
So
dot garden. Yep, DAGGA
excellent.
dot garden.
I remembered it. You got to celebrate
Yes.
these things when you're a stoner.
For real, for real. So
Let's
yep,
see.
he's up there.
And of
He
course,
has
you never answered. You never got the answer to your question of who bred Flo.
Oh yes, I did see people in chat. They typed it up. They typed it in there. But the man who bred the blueberry, DJ Short. So DJ Short is responsible for Flow. Flow
Absolutely.
Rider.
And the other half of Flo OG is number one dankness from the House of Dankness in Colorado, and the genetics from that one was the Chem Dog crossed with Triangle Kush, which I believe was a clone only. And
Yeah.
what was the other one? Chem Dog, Triangle Kush, and Ghost OG.
Damn.
So, And those are the three on that side. So impeccable genetics all around.
That sounds like fire, dude. Definitely fire. And speaking of fire, more beans. This one is going to be from Boneyard Seeds NorCal. Again, we've got to thank Mr. Toad for hooking me up with a big bag of seeds. This one is the Space Utopia Cuddler times Space Cheese. So if you are in the US, this is what you're going to win. But Magpie rule is out. The Chilbert rule is in. So everybody anywhere in the world, you can enter this one. And to enter this one, all you need to do is type into chat Mr. Toad, the man who has graced us with these beans. And do remember to put the dot after the MR. Mr. Toad. There you go. All right, so we'll give these away here in a second. And I have seen some people asking for a few dad jokes. That's something that I usually like to get around to towards the end of the show. I know that's why everybody watches the show for dad joke. No, I'm just joking. But let me just get into it, because who doesn't love a good dad joke? Chat, tell me to stop if you want me to stop. And you're on a 20-second delay, so I'm going to get these in as fast as I can. All right, maybe help me out here, Artman. Why should you not trust trees?
Why should you not trust trees?
Because they're shady. Yes. All right. Why did the drum go to bed? Speaking of drums, why did the drum go to bed?
Okay,
because
why?
It was beat. It was beat. Ba-dum-bum. Once again, and I haven't seen anybody type stop, so I'm going to sneak another one in.
Chat, help! I'm being held hostage. I would blink twice, but you can't see my face.
So you got to listen now. So what kind of music do Christmas elves listen to?
I give what?
Music. Get it? Rap music. Rap music. Okay, I think I'm getting the warning from chat. Blink. Ty says blink twice. LOL. All right. One more.
I tried.
Do you call a bear? What do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear. Oh! I need like some sound effects in here or something. So that's
you need a laugh track. There you go. You need a laugh track.
I need a laugh track.
A whole crowd.
Yes. Well, I just picture everybody in chat just sitting there slapping their knees, peeing their pants, crying their hearts out because, oh, who doesn't? Let's see, Glitch1568 right there says it. He says knee slappers. There we go. Knee slappers. Totally knee slappers. But all right, I'll stop the madness. I'll stop the madness. We'll get back to giving away some seeds. And again, this is if you're the U.S. winner, you're going to get the pack of seeds from Mr. Toad. If you're an international winner, we're going to get you something else. And then that means that we have to have another drawing on this show. So who knows? Are we doing 4 this episode? We definitely have the beans to do it. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Right now, our pack of beans for giveaways, we're doing good. So we're going to do some more giveaways every show. I'm going to find some more ways to get genetics into people's hands because everybody needs to be growing some fire. Fire. All right, back to this. Usually, Artman, I want to go through your art here quickly before we do this, but I always give everybody the floor at the end because I like to, sometimes I miss things. Sometimes there's topics. Oh, one topic that we were going to talk about that we didn't mention. Tell me, Smokers and Growers Project. What is the Smokers and Growers Project?
Oh, right. That's a new series of paintings I'm going to do that showcases cannabis culture, the smokers and the growers, the people of the culture, including, I might add, one of Mr. Westport himself. As soon as he comes up, we come up with the correct or
I
the
know.
appropriate source photo, I'm going to do a painting of Chad. So it should be
I've
great.
I've got my jar of joints right here, so I've done my job. I've prepared. I'll be able to go out and get a nice joint smoking pit. Wow, yeah. So I've got my jar of joints. We're set.
There you go.
But that'll be cool. So
That's
that's
all
what
you
that
need.
that's the Smokers and Growers project. Okay, so that is an art series you're working on, and I want to show people. I'm going to take this Mr. Toad off the screen here. Where are we at with these right now? We're at 72.
I have several other people in the community, hosts of shows that are also agreed to be subjects. So I'll share that later.
That'll be a fun traveling road show. The smoke tour. So actually, let's give away these beans real quick to Mr. Toad, and then I want to show off some of your paintings on Instagram. We've passed the magic 69 threshold. Everybody in chat, thank you for being here. Thank you for entering. I hope you guys win, but only one can. So good luck. We'll see who that is, and then we'll have you get a hold of me. And actually, let us know in chat where you're from, which country you're from. Penilipon? I was seeing if it means something backwards. I thank you for watching. Yeah, it's a fun one to try to pronounce. Let us know what country you're from in chat, and we will see if we're doing one more drawing or not this show. So I will keep an eye open for that. But that's hard to do when I go to the other screen. So maybe chat, you guys keep an eye out for it. I'm going to come back here in a second because I want to bring up, I'm going to stop sharing this. I want to share the Instagram page for our guest today, Artman, who is freaking talented and just blows my mind because just the detail, like lighting, shadow, the wrinkles of the skin of the clothes, all of this stuff is hard to capture in a variety of different mediums. Watercolor has to be one of the hardest, though. So can you maybe tell us a little bit about maybe the process or just how you came into this as I scroll through some of these photos?
Sure. I've dabbled in a lot of stuff, a lot of art all my life. I have 5,000 comic books upstairs, so I was always into art and drawing and nerd. But anyway,
cool.
I went into the 90s. I found watercolors, and I entered a local fair and a rose that I had done, and it got third place in the professional division. But I didn't enter the professional division. I entered the semi-pro division.
Wow.
But this old guy, now you got a picture of the old guy here, Percy. It's the painting is sitting in a chair, remote. He was a volunteer, and he's sitting behind the table, and he started laughing at me and said, "Now that you're professional, you can't go back." Yeah, that's him right there. And I am the only artist he allowed to paint him. He was in the art league for decades, and everybody wanted to paint him. He turned them down, but I got to paint him, so it was an honor too. So there he is.
This is the other one.
That got me a best of show. That one's a best of show in a couple different contests. So
I believe it, man. I think this was one of the first ones that I saw from you that really caught my eye. Because again, just the layering, the texture of the clothing and how you've managed to highlight that through the use of, the whites and the blacks is just, it's amazing, man. I've tried, but my brain just does not think like that. So it's cool to see it applied. It's so three-dimensional on just this two-dimensional piece of paper. So yeah.
Right. It's a special paper though. I use a paper from France. And it's very, very smooth. It's super, super smooth. And you can actually put a groove in it if you draw too deep or hard with a pencil. So it's very delicate. And I paint in layers, lots of layers. Some of the darks in some of these paintings are 50, 60, 70 layers dried between each one. It's got to be dry
Wow.
between each layer. Yeah, it's incredibly anal. But the thing is, it's a transparent watercolor. When you do it in layers like that, the light goes through the watercolor paint, hits the surface of the paper, and reflects back out. So you get a luminous effect when you see it in person. You kind of lose it seeing a photograph. They really don't do the paintings justice. If you think they're good, if you saw them in person, they're much better, actually.
Right. And I mean, I believe that, which again is another reason I'm impressed. It's like if I'm just blown away by this flat screened image that's not fully representing the colors to its potential, yeah, seeing something in person, like, look at that. How is that not a photograph? Like,
yeah. But the best thing is I can take out whatever I don't like. I can alter the composition. I use the form and the shape to draw your eye where I want it to be. So generally, if I take it, I mean, rarely do I get a perfect photograph, but but I like to, well, the light and the shadows, the whole thing, like that one. I mean, that's one of my favorites there. I mean, she's so cute, just blows me away. I love her.
It is too, and again, it's the depth on it, like the scale of the foot to the scale of the head. It gives it that feeling of just being 3-dimensional again.
Yeah, it's foreshortening is what that's called. But yeah, it's neat though. I really like that medium.
Yeah, so that is very cool, and that's some of the things that you will find on his Instagram page. So now I'm back. Haas Farms. I was bad at paint by numbers.
That's all it is, honest. It's just paint by numbers. That's it. That's all I do.
Yeah, no, I'm far from it, man. That's impressive stuff. So thank you for letting me show that and for kind of sharing that with the community at whole, because that's again another kind of personal side to things and a personal side to people is their art. So I appreciate that. Growing is an art, and that's why we love it. But there's also other things too. And as Crispy is saying here, says Artman also has great content on his YouTube channel. So do you maybe want to tell us real quick about your YouTube channel and also let everybody know where they can find you?
Everybody has better videos than I do. I know Crispy. Mine are kind of amateurish. I've got a couple of clone cutting videos, stuff like that. I have a keef extraction video, but nothing really big.
Yeah, if you're having fun, you're enjoying yourself, and you're sharing information, hard to beat it.
Right. I need to learn how to edit and do those things to make it better. I mean, you do your show. I'm sure you've learned some of that stuff too. It's not fun though.
Well, that's all the unglorious stuff that people don't see in the background. That's the art of it. The easier it looks, the better you are.
There you go.
There's a lot of moving parts. So yeah, it's you make it look so easy. It must be easy. I actually for video, I'm staring at a new computer over there that I've been waiting 2 weeks now to turn on and to load a new video editing program. So this channel is going to have some badass stuff. Oh my God, right as I'm saying it, some badass stuff coming up. Thank you, Skynuts. So some badass videos coming because I'm working with a new camera. I'm working with some new editing software. All of the ideas that I've had in my head for the past few months, I now get to put them into action. So I'm stoked. Let's see here. Any place where I could see these in person? Have you done any art shows?
Oh, geez. I haven't done any art shows in a long time. No, you really can't see any of my work anywhere. I've been out of the art scene. I had a couple of one-man shows about 20 years ago, but that was about it. Like I said, I had a bulge disc in my back, and that pretty much shut me down for a long time. And I gotta kind of meter myself now to make sure I don't overstress my back painting. So.
Well, we are getting some requests already. Painting videos would be awesome, KNC says. Smart.
There is one.
I agree. Do painting videos.
There is
painting.
one. I did a painting of Smot and Crispy's cat. There's about a 30 seconds of me painting on their painting of their cat. I was happy to do it too. It was a wonderful painting. So Smot and Crispy, you're great people.
Yeah, definitely enjoy conversations with them. So yeah, do weed art. So that would be fun. Maybe you can turn into the Bob Ross of cannabis. You'd
I
have
will
to
be
get
the artist of the stoners. That will be good enough.
artist to the stoners. Heck yeah. Who wants to be an artist to the stars when you could be an artist to the stoners?
Well, you are stars. Come on, man. You do more than most stars do, honestly. I mean, just telling people about the medical aspect of cannabis does more than them.
Thank
So
you.
don't sell yourself short. You do a great service for the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. I definitely want to get the word out. And again, that's another important thing about your setup and kind of your forethought is, you realize that you might not be able to, lift the soils and do all these things in time. So you've thought ahead, okay, well, how can I make this efficient? And your ebb and flow tables, the pump systems that you've come up with, I think are pretty ingenious. And it's also something other people can riff off of. So they're like, yeah, man, like I, have limited mobility. I know a lot of people who, well, not a lot, but more than most people who are in wheelchairs and they grow. They're great growers, but they have specific needs as far as how they set things up. And there's a lot of good examples out there. So I'm glad that you are highlighting this as well. So
Thank you.
Ultimately, yeah, go ahead, please.
There are a lot of people. I swear, if you go into chat anywhere, if you talk to most of the men, a lot of us have back problems. A lot of us do. I mean, I used to be a carpenter, millwright, and did all that stuff. That's where I hurt mine. But the pain control is the main thing for me, really.
Yeah, that's important, and it's a healthier alternative to what is commonly prescribed for people. So that's another wise decision I think you've made. So I applaud that, man. And serious too, I've got it written down here, the Harlequin stuff. Hit me up if you want to, or if you have space just to eventually try any of that. Again, germination's probably
absolutely
gonna be bad, so I'll send you a whole bunch of it. But I just have those sitting here, man, and that's the reason why I have things like this. They're sitting here. I hear somebody who that works for or needs this type of effect, and I can connect the dots, and that's something that I think a lot of us do, and we should all be doing.
And I will certainly share them too. Now I'll tell them that there may be germination problems. Of course, I'll tell them that too. But
or if you get one going, give them a clone.
There you go. Yeah,
that works. But, all right. So before we wrap up the show, though, I do want to give you, some final words. Was there anything that I didn't ask you about that you wanted to talk about, or any shout outs? Please. Now is the time, and the floor is all yours. I'm going to sit back and enjoy. I actually have some White Widow today, so that's what I'm puffing on.
Hey, that sounds great. I've never had White Widow. I've heard a lot about it, but. I just thank you for letting me on the community. I thank the community as a whole, really, because we got a lot of people out here who are helping each other and selfless, just selfless acts, sharing genetics. I've seen people sharing lights, equipment, just all kinds of stuff. And I'm really inspired by our community. So, that's one of the reasons I want to paint them too. All you guys.
Well, I definitely want to get my picture over to you and become part of that series because, yeah, excuse me, but that would be an honor. You do great work, so I will happily oblige and get a good picture this time and send it to you. I sent a few, but, stoner photography, it's not always the best.
Oh, I wish the one that you sent me from Amsterdam was a little sharper. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a cool picture. I love that. But you got the idea, so you'll come up with one. We'll work.
I missed the point of the assignment, but now I know it, so I'm not showing up with the tinfoil ball. So yeah, we'll be good. I'll get that over to you soon. Dude, I appreciate your time, and everybody in chat, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys hanging out and being such a fun, like helpful and like loving group. And they really turned out for you today, Artman. So we all appreciate your contribution to the community, man. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. It means the world to me, actually. So thanks, Chad. I appreciate you having me on the show.
My pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you September 20th on the Let's Be Bud show with Uncle Rick. And don't forget, everybody, 4 days before that, though, it's the Last Prisoner Project, the LPP Chatathon all-day event. We're going to be raising funds for the Last Prisoner Project. Worthy cause. So come hang out, support, and we got a lot of stuff to give away. So come for that too. It'll be a fun show. A lot of community members rallying around that one. Everybody enjoying it. Again, thank you so much, chat, for hanging out. Stay tuned. We will be back. We will be giving away more beans, and yeah, fun stuff ahead. So until next time, everybody, have a good night. Catch you later.
Grow with love.
Yeah.